Hi there. My name is Kendrick, and today I get to interview Keegan. So, Keegan, welcome.
Hi.
So Keegan, can you tell us your full type, please?
Yes, yes, yes. I am an ESTP jumper, SE, FE, double feminine. I'm a no, a play, consume, sleep, last human.
All right,
There you
sweet. And then
go.
when you got
My
your type
heart.
back, yeah, sorry. Oh yeah, you're
I said my heart. Go
oh,
on,
no,
go on.
you're good. You're like double decider. You'll be fine. Anyways, so when you got your type back, what did you think and how did you feel?
I laughed. I laughed real darn hard because like most of my life, I've definitely related to the whole IJ thing, like planning ahead, like really like figuring out like what the best route is. And it could be because of, childhood stuff, you know? It could because of it could be I was like in a dark place and I was in like an IJ swing and always like, or it could be that I'm right and I'm actually an INFJ. Who knows? But I'm actually like been really open to playing around with the idea of being an EP and seeing that side of me. And there, but I was cognizant of the time it like it really set. I was like one of the times it really set me free was like I was listening to music out in Seattle, actually in Ballard. Have you been?
No, I have not.
It's really, really cool. It's right by the waterfront and stuff like that. It's really nice. A little more chill than downtown. But you just like hang out over there, and I was listening to music that makes me feel really empowered. And I was just like, I've never really practiced with like balancing or being graceful or anything like that from that point. And I was like, I'm just gonna go on the curb and then practice. So I started like just expressing myself more and more out because I've been like so introverted most of my life. Yeah, so I just like started expressing like a whole bunch more. Um, Part of the reason is because I worked at a lot of jobs with customer service, like barista gigs, serving gigs. Like I'm at a serving gig right now. Um, it's the before the big thing because dude, do you ever feel, I'm gonna take a breath for a second actually. Give me a second, okay?
That's like energy dom right there. You're like so energy dom.
Yeah, it's like I am. Cool.
Yeah, you're like trying to
Okay.
like get some energy back in the middle of your talking. So yeah.
Yeah, so what it did is it made it so I challenged myself. I made everything kind of like a consciousness journey. So like when I'm dealing with customers, I'm at the register as a barista. I try to I meet them eye to eye and I like actually try to see them as a being. And I actually try to switch it up each person, even if there's a line at the door, and
Right.
try to actually meet with them. And it makes it feel more meaningful, dude. Like, have you ever experienced anything like that with your job? Where you actually like start caring about these people. Yeah, what about you?
Um, I do.
What
Well,
about you, Kendra?
it's kind of mixed because like I think what
Yeah.
you're describing is like extrovert feeling. So you're trying to connect with people like emotionally and stuff, you know. Uh,
Yeah.
I think if I was like, because I used to work in Starbucks, so
Hmm.
I've been a barista as well. But like my focus
Hmm.
is kind of like it's like you're like kind of like trying to treat people as humans, right? And like trying to like
Yeah.
try to connect with them emotionally. But for them,
Yeah.
I'm also consciously trying to cater to their emotions. And I feel like if people are lining up in
Hmm.
Starbucks, like
Yeah.
I feel like a big portion of them are not there to chit chat. They're there to like, I want my coffee so I can get to work and whatnot.
Yeah.
So I would be using my
Yeah.
expert thinking instead, and I'll be like, I'm gonna do my work as fast as possible, as efficient as
Yeah.
possible, so you can get your coffee and you don't feel frustrated like lining up and stuff.
Oh yeah, dude. I
So
know what you mean, dude. Do you know what like I noticed though? Like the way I've thought one of my TI truths is that I really care about my work ethic.
right,
So I like pay a lot of attention. So I try to actually incorporate both. like more like, how a bartender does it, how they're like chit-chatting, but they're like, you know,
Right, right,
like doing all that the tricks and stuff as they're like, having like a philosophical conversation or something,
right, right.
you know. I try to actually like connect with people and like actually ask them like have a dialogue about like what their mocha is. And if I ask them like how's the coffee and they say like it tastes like coffee, then I know to like I learn to back down, I learn to go like, okay, cool. Like you like it then and like accept that they don't want to discuss it, you know?
Right,
So
right.
I definitely learned that lesson and it makes me I like it because am I yelling by the way? Am I really loud?
No, no,
You know?
you're fine. No,
I
you're
feel
good.
like I'm yelling.
No,
Okay.
no, no, you're good. So don't worry.
Okay, cool. Yeah, yeah, yeah. So but like I slowly learned to like express myself more and more. And I realized like I wasn't wanting to be a server again this last job, you know? I was wanting to like, of course, everyone's wanting to get to the next place where they feel like they're on fire about their job, you know?
Right,
Like that's what I want, you
right.
know? How about you? What do you like? Do you like interviewing people?
Yeah, no, I mean obviously because I do it all the time, but like
People
but
do all kinds of things they don't like all the
yeah,
time.
that's true. That's true. Yeah, no, you're right. You're right. So yeah, I know I do like interviewing people because like I like to
Cool.
get people at like a deeper level and stuff, and like
Yeah,
really
me too.
understand them and stuff. I think
Yeah,
like
it's fun.
you were telling me your story about like you had to learn like for certain customers they don't want to chat and stuff and they just want their
Yeah.
coffee and like get GTFO, like
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
like like for me I mine was kind of like the opposite where it's like at first I was kind of like the robot at work and I was like when I was working as a barista, like when I was in my like early 20s, I was like the machine, like I got so much coffee out, like the turnover
I
is.
know, dude.
But then I was always amazed that like I had this one coworker who would like chit chat with all the customers and stuff, and he was so good at like conversation. And I was like, how the hell are you doing this? Like, I think he was doing the whole FE thing that you're doing, like the conversation, connecting with people and stuff. So when I got older and I started working in the fitness industry, and that's when I started like learning how to do that stuff that you're like describing. So I think we're like a
That's
little bit
cool, dude.
we're a little bit opposite.
Yeah, we went the opposite end. Yeah, we just like swung the opposite end because okay, go on, go on. I have some stuff.
Was that
Like it's really cool because like do you know, okay, one thing I was thinking about with FE and FI between
right?
those two,
Right.
I was thinking like, like how a lot of time a lot of times, what people hate about FE is that it's fake, right?
Right. It
But
can be.
FE doesn't have to, but yeah, exactly. They can
Right.
be like,
Yeah.
but they're being biased and they just had a lot of bad experiences. But like, I think when an FI person like actually feels like I have actual love, like swelling my heart for them, they actually like take note of it and I can see it, you
Right.
know,
Right.
and they like it.
Yeah. No, 100%. You're on
Yeah.
point. I think based on your story, it's like we're both double-siders. So we both learned that, the F and the T are both important. So you gotta
Yeah.
know like the time and place, like when to use it and stuff. Because like
Yeah, totally.
I learned my F like in my like later 20s, and then for you learn your T like a little bit later on. But then
No, no, no. You got it all twisted, but I'll let you finish.
okay, I mean I'm just describing based on what you said from your like your barista experience, because like first
Oh, yeah.
because you said
It
you're
wasn't
connecting with
that.
yeah,
It
go ahead.
wasn't. It's more that like, do you know? I like to test my. I like to see. Sometimes you don't know necessarily how someone's going to respond, right away.
Okay.
And so like it was like a pretty quick lesson for me. But one thing I can talk to you about like how I like interacted with my internal world when I was a kid because I was very much like, yeah. But what were you gonna say? Do you want to finish your sentence and then I'll dive back in?
Sure. No, no, like I mean, obviously, your introvert world is always present. So for you, your TI, it's not gonna be not present when you're growing up. And for me, my
Yeah.
FI, I've always had my FI. I've had it since I was like 3 years old. And even when I got typed by Dave and Shan, they're like, "What the hell? You've seen your sleep since you were 3?" So it's not like we don't
Yeah,
have it. I'm
yeah,
just talking about
yeah. Yeah, totally.
from like an external expression because like for you when you were doing the barista stuff at first you're trying to connect with people but later you learn it's like
Yeah.
oh this person just wants their coffee. So I'll just be like, okay, here's the coffee then, good enough, right? So it's like the TI is like, okay, sometimes some people don't want the F, they just want the T. And that's good and that's fine, and it's like,
Yeah, exactly. And it's like, and you have to like figure that out person by person,
right,
right?
right, yeah,
Like
exactly.
as like a server, it's like that too. And you know what's interesting? Like sometimes you can actually win them. Sometimes I get over there and they're like have like such a disdain for me for like no apparent reason,
Right,
just right off the bat. Sometimes they love me right away, but like I have like very strong. Sometimes people have strong reactions to me, but like sometimes people are like grossed out by me and they are like repelled by me. But at the end, they're like, they could feel that I like care about them as a being. And then they like are swooned, or whatever you want to call it. They can feel that I like them and then they're okay. But then there are other times where there's no getting through to them. And I like, again, like I'm okay with that.
right,
I'd let them just be grumpy and then I just laugh at it, you
yeah,
know?
right.
Yeah.
um I get what you mean because I had a job interview like this past month and a half. I've been going to job interviews and stuff, and
Cool, dude.
um I've been
For
interviewed by
what?
two I've been interviewed by two people. I think one of them is an ENFJ and the other one's like an ESTP jumper like you. And I noticed there was like a huge difference. Like the person who's like a lead FE, it was like she was a decider, so it was a little bit different from her. But I remember
Mhm.
the ESTP jumper, the VP of the company, he was like kind of like you. Like he was cool with like the negativity and whatnot. Like he wasn't trying to push it away or anything. Like he was cool
Yeah.
with it. Like he was cool with like the
Yeah.
cold hard TI truth. Like
Yeah.
obviously the FE was what he used for the front end, but but when it came time to talk about the truth, no problem. So it's like, so I think for you guys,
Yeah.
it's like, yeah,
Exactly.
you can bounce between that. So I actually want to
Exactly.
pivot based on that. So since you already brought up your TI since you were young, and
Yeah.
you said you were stuck in like an IJ box ish when you were younger too, and that's why
That's
you
what
thought,
it felt like. Yeah.
yeah, um, and you thought you were an INFJ, which makes sense because INFJ and ESTP, you guys are in the same quadra. So
Hmm.
and then David Shannon has also been saying lately that like EPs and IGs are the same. It just depends where you are on your swing. Because
Yeah.
when you become a control freak, you become an INFJ. But when you become like the chaos
Yeah.
monkey, then you become an ESTP, right? So it's like this just depends where what how you're feeling, where you are. If you're when you're having a demon swing or whatnot. So yeah, you're not wrong if you think you're an INFJ because that is part of you. Just like ENFJ and ISTP, they're also part of you, like all those guys.
Yeah.
Yeah, like when you sleep, you become an ISTP. When you use play, you're more like ENFJ like, right? So and when you use blast, then more like INFJ. So it depends on where you are, right? So let's talk about your TI. You have masculine TI, and this is your truths. So can you share a little bit about your like truths and stuff? I know it's personal for you, but like uh, like what can you share when it comes to that like TI truth?
Okay. Okay. I care a lot about respect.
Okay.
I feel like, and I have my own definition of what respect is. I've created that myself
Okay.
because I don't necessarily respect what others respect. So, or like think what is intelligent to another human is actually intelligent,
Right.
because what I see, the, I'm getting off topic because I just like want to talk about things with you. So I'm
Yeah.
wanting to get off topic right now here and jump off.
It's all good. It's all good. It's all good. Yeah.
But
But
TR
but
Truths, I
but
really care about respect. I have my own, yeah, go on,
what's your
go on.
definition of respect then, based on what you were trying to say?
It depends on like the situation. It depends on like if it's like a manager, I really like someone that gets their hands dirty. Someone that's able to do the grunt work, but someone that's able to like see when energy needs to be moved around, like someone's been on the register too long. Like I was a shift lead and I was able to see if someone started getting register brain and then they
Right.
were like they needed to like switch and move their energy, do another job or something like that. Or like but anyways, a manager that gets their hands dirty, like someone that actually cares about the people around them. respects other people's ideas, is open to other people's ideas. Someone that's willing to face the fire of like their own emotions is really, really important to me. Someone that's willing to admit when they're wrong. I actually thought about that when I was a kid, dude.
Yeah,
I like realized, yeah, I realized I was like getting in conflicts with my family and you know, sometimes you're wrong. And I was like fighting for it. Then I realized I was like, you know what? Like I rather like admit that I'm wrong and actually like get to the truth
right.
and actually be right than like just be like a bullhead, you know?
That's so a lot of people with TI they don't like being wrong. So how did you come to accept that? That's kind of cool you discovered that so early too. That's like a superpower, I think.
Isn't it really cool? Because then
Yeah,
I get to grow so quickly.
exactly. Yeah,
And especially since I've gotten older and older and you get in relationships and those really, really shape you and make you grow. And you get
right,
to like, so I get to like, because I'm willing to see where I mess up too, or where I can like better, and I get to simulate out like these different ways to handle relationship problems and conflicts. And it makes me like feel like I have like, I'm starting to get like a lot of really useful information to help people with these patterns, dude. And I'm like starting to get really pumped about it. And that's why, look, this is the first time I've ever like did an interview or, you know, I'm the only thing that's similar is actually waitressing. Like there's a time when I actually got back into it that I walked up to the table and I actually got stage fright.
oh, did you?
Look, yeah, because everyone's like looking at you. So I had to like get back used to it and I got to express myself and now I'm like playing with people now
Right.
because I was so serious at work, dude. I
Yeah.
was like crazy serious at work and only wanted to like perfect my roll-ups and less people were doing their stuff too because I felt like it was all on my shoulders to get us set up, you know.
Um, I want to ask you about your double masculine NT sleep.
Okay.
I think that's like a super. I think that's why you see yourself inside so much because your inner world is double masculine. It's like
Yeah.
very there's like a gravitational pull towards it, like you cannot ignore it. It's also
No.
NT, so it's like figuring things out. So I think the first impressive thing that you said today was like not the first thing, but sorry, but like one of the most impressive thing was like when you said that you figured out at a young age that being wrong is fine because it helps you get to the truth faster, you know, and then
Yeah.
you'll be right. So that's
Yeah.
like so
And I still messed up, of course,
yeah,
because like you have to like you fall into the pattern of still let your ego gets the best of you. And I'm not even dissing the ego. Like we can go into like our thoughts on ego if you want to later or something.
sure,
But like I don't diss the ego. I think it like it's my personality as you know, this is you know, Keagan, it's my
right,
personality and it's trying to protect me.
right,
And like sometimes it would do that because it felt like it was a threat to be wrong for a reason. And you dive into that reason and you can start unlocking some of that, you know?
right. Oh
Do you
my
know
god,
what I mean, dude?
that's so interesting. It's a threat to be wrong. I think that's like a masculine TI thing because like I have feminine TE, right? So like the right and wrong stuff is very fluid because it's feminine. So
Yeah.
yours is
It
masculine.
could be because, but I think it's also like, I think it's actually a childhood thing for me.
Okay.
It could be because of the TI. It could be because of that too,
Right.
but it's definitely a childhood thing for me as
Um,
well, at least.
so one of the things that you said earlier is you like to simulate something. I guess so that's your I think
Yeah.
masculine NI in action. You're like future projecting because like a lot of people say, oh, EP like E and ESTPs and ESFPs, they have NI in the bottom, and you guys probably have a hard time using it. But I noticed like the you guys with the masculine NI can see it, can use it. It still triggers you, but it's there. Can you talk about that a
Mhm.
little bit on like how you personally experienced that masculine NI there at the bottom, and especially paired up with your masculine TI?
Yeah. Yeah. Um, one weird thing, I'm pretty sure this would fall under sleep processing is what do I want to say this story? Let me ask myself.
Sure.
Um, oh, I do interesting things. Like I'll tell you like two extremes, okay?
Sure.
So one extreme would be when I was a little girl, I there's like that one AI movie, Artificial Intelligence. It has like the Enya song. There's like this Enya song that's really depressing.
What's the name of the music of the movie?
AI, Artificial Intelligence.
Okay, I don't think I've
It's
seen.
really, really depressing. There's a scene where there's like this little robot boy,
Yeah,
and his mom, he gets really attached to his mom.
yeah,
And they actually adopted this AI kid because their little boy was dying. The biological kid was dying, dude.
right.
So they adopted this AI boy to replace him. And the kid actually started getting better.
Yeah,
And so they dropped there's a scene, dude, there's a scene where on the highway, the mom was driving with the AI kid
yeah.
and she dropped it off in the highway and it was like crying out for her and it
Oh,
was so
they
depressing.
just like abandoned the kid, like kind of like.
Yeah.
Oh my God, that's
And it
cool.
was like
Wait,
scarred.
is this the movie
Isn't it
where
messed
like
up, dude?
they go to the future and they find the AI boy and he was like the only like surviving human like
I think so.
not the
I
same
don't
movie?
remember that part, but it sounds familiar now.
Yeah, okay, maybe I've seen this movie because like you're describing, I'm like, wait, I think I've seen this one. But
I
yeah,
know,
no,
right?
like
Okay, good. I'm glad I described it well enough for you to
yeah,
remember.
no, no, it's good. It's
But
good.
dude, thank you. Oh, but dude, okay. What were we talking about? Can you remind me?
Your feminine sensory is so funny. Forgot. But no, we're talking about the
Well,
movie that
I
you
could
watched.
remember if I wanted to, but I'm like relying on you, hopefully, because it's easier for you.
Sure,
Hopefully.
sure, it's all good, it's all good. So we're talking about the movie, the depressing movie where like the boy got
Yeah,
chopped off in
yeah,
the
yeah, yeah.
club.
Oh, yeah, yeah, yeah. Thank you. I remember. I remember. Thank you.
Yeah, yeah,
Okay, so there's this really depressing song in that movie, and it was this instrumental. Well, she had vocals, but it wasn't really like a lyrics.
yeah,
And so it was really, really depressing. And I was in the bathroom, the only place I could get alone time at the time.
yeah,
And so I actually like thought I would think about death at a young age, you
right,
know? I would actually think about that kind of stuff. And I would think about like the funerals of each of my relatives and cry about it and like deeply like feel it all the way as much as I could, the
right,
feeling of losing them and what would that mean to me and stuff like that. And like that made me feel like differently about death. And I think that's like one reason like I just like in default mode am able to handle really dark emotions and dive deeply into them. And that really makes it so I realize the power of that.
right.
And then I can tell you about the swing, but what do you have to say? Do you have anything to say?
Yeah, no, I just wanted to bring up your extrovert feeling here because like it
Okay.
sounded like you were describing your swing between TI and FE. And
Huh.
so it's a little bit different with FI and FE, but like as someone with extrovert feeling, um, this is a two-part question. So the first part is
Okay.
how do you feel about dark emotions and negativity? Is it something that you try to push out, or are you okay with having it um come through, you know?
Mhm. Okay. So when I don't believe we're just our cognitive functions.
Right.
So my answer is going to be kind of nuanced
Sure, that's
because
fine.
of that.
Yeah, that's fine.
So when I was a kid, I was really, really sensitive, like would cry a lot. I would feel a lot deeply. And so is that my I don't know what I was experiencing. I could have been experiencing the collective. I could have been experiencing it's partly because of my atmosphere. It's partly because, how intense the human world is, the human experiences,
Right.
you know. But I was very sensitive. And then there came a point where I decided it wasn't okay to experience emotions. You
Oh,
know what I mean?
okay.
And I put up a wall like many people do, you
Right.
know, because I thought that that would protect me. But it made me feel numb, which didn't protect me at all, you know?
No, no, it
You
doesn't.
know that story?
Yeah. Yeah, 100%.
Yeah. So I learned to start taking that down and like being there for myself again. And like I've been on the journey since then. Like each time I experience something hard, I try not to dissociate from myself or abandon myself. I try to be there for myself and
Right.
experience like the whole thing deeply. And I've been doing that since I was a kid, and who knows why, but I have since I was a kid.
Okay.
And I can tell you the swing when again, like whenever.
Yeah, it's a little bit different with FI because like with
Yeah,
FI,
go on.
like when negative emotions come in, sometimes we want to stay in that negative emotion. Like we want to, like someone will come in and say, cheer up. I'm like, how about fuck you? Like I don't want to cheer up. I want to be sad. I want to be miserable. You know,
I know, like listen to sad songs. Like I would do that. Like listen to sad songs and feel it because I like music that like who knows why. I'm like kind of more FI in that way.
right.
And that like I actually have found like the joy of sadness and like and actually like experiencing all the range of the emotions, you know?
So do you like that, like the range of emotions then? Like not being
Yeah,
satisfied with
actually.
just like one? Because like I feel like, as a human,
Yeah,
the more range you have, the more empathy you have for others. And also you feel you
exactly.
feel you feel better too. You feel more like whole.
Exactly.
Yeah, you don't feel like a
Exactly, because
robot.
you can feel, yeah, exactly, dude. Because to the depths that you can go, that's to the heights you can go.
Right.
So like, so like do I have like a green mustache? I
No, 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 you don't. No, you don't.
think.
No, you're good.
Okay, dude, okay. Like seriously, I've realized that because like the other year, like I think it was like 2021 was the first time I cried out of happiness. I was watching the sunrise and I actually was like actually extremely happy to be alive and
Right.
excited and feeling. And do you know why? Because I do these exercises. First of all, dancing really helps me. That it could be the feminine sensory or something.
Right.
It could be other things as well. But yeah, I think feminine sensory, I express myself in that way. And it's very flowy. It's like it's not always though. Do you think that's because it like the TI is in the middle that I'm able to do, like how some people are extremely graceful and it's like they try to do a hip hop dance or they try to do something that's like more like the robot and it's
Yeah.
like they can't be blocky or anything. Like, why do you think it is that I can do both? Do you think it's just practice or what?
I
Or
think
both?
I think you're like lead extrovert sensing. So I noticed like people who are like lead extrovert sensing, they're just good with their body in general. Like you guys just
I
know.
had to learn that, but yeah, I guess you have to learn everything to get to master it.
Yeah, but I don't think like I don't think like some of those like consume last INTJs can do it. Like I don't think they can do what you're doing, like they can barely like like they're not like the kind of people that can like do what you're doing. You said you were like dancing out in Seattle or whatever, and then it was just like just
Yeah,
felt natural and stuff. Like I think for some people they have to really consciously put a lot of hours to practice it to get good. Like for people like you or similar, like ESFPs, ESTPs, or somewhere along those neighborhood, like you guys can pick it up
yeah.
much quicker. I think you guys have trouble with other stuff, like
But you know what oh yeah, go on, finish your sentence. Go on.
sure, sure. I mean, like I think for you guys have more trouble with like the NI, which is like, but
I
that's
don't know, dude. I don't feel that way. I don't feel like I have a
okay.
problem with it
So
at all because do you know why? I'm even able to do it in real time. And I think that's due to being more and more conscious. I believe the more conscious you get,
yeah,
the more you're able to activate each of these cognitive functions, even the ones you don't have in your main stack. And you're able to like utilize them in a way that like exceeds what like people have put a box around so far. You know what I mean?
okay,
Like what does feminine sensory really notice? Do you like for instance like the five senses, you know? You know how we say the five senses? What if there are more senses than that? But because we have the box of five senses, we're not taking in the other sensory. You know what I mean?
oh, there's like the sixth sense, you know.
Exactly, dude. Like that kind of idea. Exactly. Like you can feel energy. Like I have had discussions where people are like, no, you can't. But I see them subconsciously responding to it. Like people can know when someone's watching them from
Right.
behind, or I can feel, or you can feel people's emotions, or I can feel it. Like, we're taking in the energy and some people deny it, which is crazy to me.
Yeah,
What do
I
you think
mean,
about that when people deny that? That the people can feel other people's emotions.
I don't know. They're probably an IP who like don't see other people. Like that's probably what they are. Because like I feel like most I think most people who are like not IPs can feel other people. Even like the ENTJs, like those guys with like lead TE or ESTJs, I think they can still to an extent like know something is off about someone. So I think when you um I think IPs can do it too, but they have to consciously want to connect with other people. Because I think if you don't want to connect with other people, then you can kind of block it out. But I think like if you're like a normal
Exactly.
human being and you want connection with other humans, then you can feel that vibe. And also you can sense danger too.
And you want to take care of it. It's like they feel like there's not enough space for their introverted world already.
Yeah.
And so they don't want to admit to the taking the responsibility of the external environment. Because that's actually every cognitive function like stands for a certain responsibility in the world. And it's like a way to see that responsibility so that you can take that and grow as a human, you know?
But okay, Keegan, hold on. I do think you have NI
What's up?
problems.
What's up?
You do have NI problems because you called yourself out
Why?
during this interview. You're like
Why?
you're
How
like
so?
I don't like how they put you in a box. Five senses in a box. I'm like, whoa, whoa, whoa. You're getting
Oh,
all
do you know why
with
though?
this box stuff.
I know. Do you know why though? Do you know why?
Yeah.
It's actually coming from a place is okay, it's coming from a place of well, a bunch of emotions, of course.
Okay.
But one reason is like I believe people are limited to what they were born into at the time, you know?
Okay.
But they're not limited in that there's no possibility of getting out of that, of course. But
That's something an
but
ET
sometimes
would
people
say.
but some well the thing is sometimes people can get stuck in patterns, you know?
Okay.
So so like that is what sometimes they're run by their whole entire life is they're stuck in a pattern, you know, that they seem so confused as to why this conflict happened again or, you know,
Right.
when and which is interesting. I don't really it's you know like how usually a lot of times people with NI, well at least in my experience when I was younger, well I'm you know like how sleep processing is like processing like when do usually people with lead sleep when do they sleep process?
Like all the time. My girlfriend's lead sleep, and she's just
Yeah,
like in like La La Land most of the time. Like we're driving in a car and she's like zoned out and stuff, or like we're
yeah,
talking and she's like pretending to listen to me. She'll be like, uh-huh, yeah, yeah. And I'm like, okay, listen to me, get out of your head. She's like, oh, what? And then she'll like snap out of it. She's like, sleep processing like nonstop, thinking about how she
yeah.
feels. And like when people talk to
But
her,
yeah, go on. Sorry. When people talk to her,
yeah, when people talk to her, like the first thing she thinks is like, oh, I felt that way too, because it's FI, right? She's NIFI. He's like,
yeah,
oh, I remember, I know how that feels, because like I felt that way, So it's like,
yeah,
yeah,
yeah. And it's interesting because like maybe it's because maybe like Dave and Shannon are right about me, but I actually do that all the time. I actually sleep process all the time because I'm aware of how I feel all the time. Because like I realize like when I'm triggered or I realize like, you know, when something's connected to the past and I'm able to see that and feel that and understand like, oh, I realize like I'm feeling like left out of the tribe. I have like a tribe wound right now
right.
or something like that. And I'm able to feel that and recognize that right then and like act and understand that about myself and then like try to be there for myself in the moment. So I'm able to like I do it all the time. And I don't know like why that is, but I do.
I mean, it makes sense. You have double masculine sleep, so of course, I have double masculine sleep also, and
Oh yeah.
it's fourth, and I can sleep process like from an emotion.
Yeah.
Like I have other issues with my sleep last. Like I have issues like with physical health and stuff. Like because that's part of SI or SIFI. It's like
Mm.
health routines and stuff. So I have issues with that. But like
Yeah.
emotional routines, I have FI second, so it's not my biggest problem. Um, and I do like to sleep process my emotions, but I have trouble with like the physical because I have SI in the bottom. So the physical
Yeah.
world is like the biggest problem for me, not like the abstract world or just like other stuff. So I think like for you, your blast last, right? So like teaching your known information to the tribe would be the hardest thing in the most organized fashion. Like
Mm. Yeah, I try it's interesting. I think my partner is an ISTP.
Yeah.
So so I actually have to and most of my partners have actually been so I've taken the intuitive role in that relationship. And most of my relationships, in all my relationships, I'm pretty intuitive kind of human. So, but at the same time, I'm really logical. So but I guess no one understood exactly what I was saying the majority of the time, most of my life. And they
Right.
would just discredit me because I didn't go to college
Right.
because of my opinions about college. I would rant about college, dude. I'd be like, college is a scam. Like when I was a kid, I would rant about that to my mom because you can learn all that. You can actually, and I had my own opinions about school and the fact that it should be individual learning and and the fact that people could really soar if it was because you could go where their curiosities are. You could give them structure because that's important, but also give them a lot of freedom and see where they go.
I think as a fellow EP, I agree with you mostly. Like that school is a scam. Because like you're right.
It could be awesome.
Like you can learn most things by yourself. I think the only time you need to go to school is if you're studying to be like a doctor,
Yeah.
dentist, or engineer. Like you do have to go to school for that. But
Yeah.
like for other stuff, like if you want to be a business person, like you don't need to go to school. Like most good business people dropped out of school, right? Because like school teaches you to be an employee, that teach you to be like a business person. And then
Yep.
yeah, and then yeah. So I think I agree. Like maybe for like 80% school is a scam. I was crappy at school too because I'm high play, right? So I'm like, this stuff is useless. It's like it doesn't.
That's how I felt about history back before I saw the wisdom and looking at the patterns. If you look at them as a way to see human patterns, then it's useful. But just memorizing dates and stuff was not something my brain wanted to latch onto.
Yeah, no, you're no memorizing data is useless because like you can just Google it, right?
See?
You can just Google it. So yeah.
It's like there's no wisdom in it. It's a waste of time. I've always been like very aware of like if something feels like a waste of time or not.
Yeah. Um I do like history itself because I think they're interesting to learn about
Yeah,
history.
sometimes, yeah, totally.
But the dates
Depends.
is not that like it's important, but like you don't need to memorize it. I think it's like it's useless. Like I don't know if you heard, but like recently I forgot I was watching an interview. I'm trying to forget. I think it was Joe Rogan who was interviewing this one dude. I don't know if you
Mhm.
watch Joe Rogan interviews, but
Yeah, sometimes.
yeah. So he was interviewing this guy who was like a geopolitical guy, and he was like saying like China's in trouble because the way they were teaching kids in China was like just memorization, and that's like only like I don't know
Ugh.
like when it comes to intelligence, I don't know how many intelligence there are, or like there's like what I say, there's like eight or something. That's like one out of eight. So really, like if you're a child learning, like you're only learning like one out of eight. Like what about the other seven? Like are you
I know, dude.
are you learning about interpersonal skills? Are you learning about intrapersonal skills? Those are two different things.
Yeah.
Because you might be good at
Mhm.
awareness about other people, but you know about yourself too, right?
Yeah.
So there's like a lot of
And
hope.
can you have they need to teach like how to have yourself and the other two. Teach like emotional intelligence. Like it's really, really important because that brings you to more consciousness. That brings you to more freedom for yourself and to be able to make choices and get out of patterns. To be able to stay in a structure or if you want to. It doesn't matter where your freedom leads you, but like I believe in the power of like going through the emotions to gain more consciousness. How about you? What's like some of your favorite ways to gain more consciousness?
Favorite what?
To gain more consciousness. What's
What's
some
that?
of your favorite ways? It could be like paying attention to sewing, even like deeply. You could gain more consciousness,
Oh,
you know?
my favorite way to gain consciousness is to watch really emotional movies, like with
Yeah,
existen
yeah,
with
exactly.
with a lot of existential crisis involved.
Yeah,
Yeah, like
exactly. Yeah.
I don't know if you saw the movie Everything Everywhere All at Once.
No.
Yeah, it's the one that like won like two Golden Globes or whatever. Like
Hmm,
it's on Amazon Prime. It's amazing. It's one of the best movies I've seen like in recent times.
cool.
Oh my
That's
god. It
awesome.
was at first it looks like a crazy NE movie where it's like a bunch of random weird shit is happening, but like the more you watch the movie, you're like, whoa, this is deep stuff. It talks about like you know, about like if you live in another lifetime and you had like a different life, would you actually be happy, or would something still be missing in your life? And then they showed like different parallel universes, or like that the main character had like a different life. Like she was like in her life, she's like a struggling entrepreneur. She had like a laundromat and was like doing poorly. Her husband just served her divorce papers, and it was everything was just like bad, right? But in like other lifetimes, she was like a successful movie actress. Another lifetime, she's like a professional chef. Another life. So like different lifetimes,
Tough
right?
one.
But what she noticed was like every lifetime there was another problem that she had, and like it's
Yeah.
always greener on the other side. But really, like what's like the truth of it, right? You know, and the truth was like you can find happiness in the simplest things, the most mundane thing in life.
Yeah.
Like you can just be doing laundry, you can find joy in that, right? So it's
I
like,
know. Yeah. Dude, exactly. That reminds me. So I was a farmer's market lady. I would set up it was like for this place in Philadelphia, this
yes,
chocolate place. And I would set up the tent and stuff like that, and I
yeah,
would put on music, and I would end up like finding a place of flow, finding a place of like I was like a it felt like I was aligned, you
yeah,
know. It felt like I was like really, really happy and just like dancing while setting up everything
right,
and making it and actually just exactly finding play and everything, finding like joy in it. And then people like sometimes would watch me.
yeah.
It's like it's crazy. It's crazy. But like they were drawn to like the wholesomeness of like how happy I was and just like setting up something simple like that, you know?
I think I envy you for that, because that's something I have trouble with, because I my SF is sleep, so self-expression is super hard for me. So that's something that
It
like
was hard, dude. I feel you, dude. Yeah, it was hard for me, but I like because I was a waitress, it like really, really,
yeah,
I deal with so many humans as a barista. I was a nanny. Like you get like deeply into, and then I get deeply into like human dynamics with my relationship too.
yeah.
So like those two things, it's like, yeah,
Oh my
I
God,
finally was able to really feel like I can start expressing myself and and learning how to like do my humor because my humor can be dark and stuff, dude. My
yeah,
humor can be like kind of inappropriate sometimes. Like I was like, I this couple asked this older couple like asked me to take a picture of them,
yeah.
and I was taking a picture of them, and I was pretending like they were like a little baby. I was like, here you go, like and they actually thought it was funny, and I just like in the moment it just seemed right, and I just did it even though it was like completely silly and kind of slightly risky, you know, but they were into it. And this other couple saw and they were like, I can't believe you did that, and they were just laughing.
Yeah,
And so I'm like starting to actually, and this was just this year where I started actually being able to do that and start like cultivating my humor out in public with more than just like the people I know. You
yeah.
know, I'm playing with more than just selective humans now, and it's fun.
Yeah, no, I agree with the funness of it, because I think that's the good thing about being EPs. You're willing to push the envelope when it comes to this kind of stuff. So I think like that's something that like my girlfriend always like tells me, is like I can't believe, like she would always say like only you would get away with that. Like because like I think a lot of EPs get away with a lot of stuff that's like not appropriate, just because like I think when you do something like kind of like spontaneous, or like in the spur of the moment, it's like it's kind of okay even though it's inappropriate, because it's like um because if you thought it out, then you're kind of like a sociopath, right? But if you just did it in a moment, it's kind of like fun and kind of like just playful. Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, I really did have to learn how to do that because I didn't trust myself. I didn't feel capable in that area at first. And
yeah,
I did have to learn how to like feel comfortable like doing something kind of silly like that.
right.
But yeah, but yeah, go on.
Um,
What's next? What's next?
so my last question for you before we wrap this interview, I think this is gonna be a big one. You were talking about freedom earlier. You're an EP, your biggest fear is controlled, being told what to do, being boxed in. Like these are all like bad. Um, can you share a little bit about like what is it about control that like would bother you a lot? Like if someone would like to try to box you in, try to tell you you can't be more than this, or um like just
Yeah.
being trapped, like constrained, constrained. Like what about that?
You're trying to get me in the mindset, eh? You're packing all those words
Yeah,
to like punctuate the energy. I see, I see.
yeah,
I like it.
no, yeah, no, because I want the truth, I want the cold hard truth, like
I like it.
yeah,
I felt it.
yeah,
Um,
yeah,
I like the truth too. We share this. Um, okay, okay. So, freedom. Freedom's important for everyone, of course, but we are like feeling maybe more triggersome about it, you know?
yeah,
But if that's we, like they could be wrong about me, but you think they're right, yeah? That I'm an ESTP jumper, double feminine, all that jazz.
oh,
Do you think they're
the
right about
moment
it?
we start the moment we started the interview, you were so chaotic already. So it's like you can't even reel it down. It's just it's just like coming out, and like it's but I'm not saying, I mean, because like as an ESTP you are also an INFJ, because when you swing you become an
Yeah,
INFJ. So it's like
yeah,
me, I'm an ENFP, right? But when I swing I become an ISTJ. So it's like I think the best way to look at it is like you're all four of those.
yeah.
Your your presentation to the outside world is ESTP, but inside you is also the ENFJ, the INFJ, and the ISTP. And
Which is so cool, which I get to like the older I get, the more I get to express each of
exactly,
those
yeah,
things,
yeah, you got it.
which is really awesome,
It's super awesome. Yeah, that's like a
right?
that's a superpower. Because
Yeah,
a lot of people like they reject those other side of themselves.
I know.
But
Yeah,
but but if you embrace all of them, you're like, I'm
yeah,
all of them. Oh my
yeah.
God, like you're like a more
It's
complete
really cool.
human being, right?
Exactly.
But I want to
Yeah.
go back to you again about the being boxed in, being
Boxing.
wanted, constrained, locked up, you know,
Bound.
yeah, bound, yeah, exactly, straight jacket, like how do like what is about that like triggers? Because I talk to a lot of IJs, and like they tell me, it's like, yeah, just tell me what to do, I don't care. They don't care about like being like controlled as much. Like my girlfriend, for example, it's like I want to go to work and my boss will tell me what to do, and that's like fine. Like
Oh, interesting. Yeah, I actually like to really take responsibility for wherever I am and
okay,
notice what is priority. So I don't know when I learned that lesson to take responsibility so I am not controlled,
yeah,
but like I learned that at a young age. Like just just like actually like handle your stuff and handle like what is best to handle at any given moment,
yeah,
as best you can. And that is like fluctuating, especially as a barista. Like you're like making drinks, but then you look to see their lids across the way that are like running out, and you're like, you have to delegate, or you have to like, run on over there after a drink's up, or
right,
so on and so forth. But um but anyway, so I just like learn how to take responsibility, and because that is like the older I get, the more I'm seeing that. Like and the more I'm doing it, the more I'm taking joy in it too.
right,
Like in doing the laundry, like you were saying, or
right,
something like that. Yeah. So like, um, but like it doesn't make it makes me feel really uncomfortable, of course, to like for instance at work they like want to start making us wear t-shirts or something like that.
right,
And that annoys me because I like to express myself. They were making us wear these black shirts, and I like would push the envelope, like I would wear like a feather, or I would wear like some kind of thing. And it ended up being now everyone's like wearing shirts other than that shirt now. It's
uh-huh,
just black now. And everyone's like expressing more. And it's really, really cool,
yeah,
you know? And I prefer it like that because it's actually more of a flourishing environment. Like the people that want to like support others and have someone else lead, that's perfect. Like let them be set up with someone that is like good at doing that and wants to like it makes them feel energized to like direct energy with humans. Like just yeah, go ahead and let them do that. Who cares? But I'm one of those people that I want to like figure stuff out myself, figure out how to actually get things done myself and support myself. And and I want to soar because I honestly feel like I want to take responsibility for how I soar. I took responsibility for like how to teach myself. And because I believe I know the best speed, especially like when I'm in alignment, you know?
Right.
Yeah. That's what I would say about that.
Oh my God, you're so EP. Like you're like yeah.
You think
Um
so?
oh oh my God. Like you okay, okay, like you channel change so much. Like
Oh yeah?
you can't stay on the same topic. It's like
But it's connected though. You see that.
it is, but you had to
Yeah.
channel change. Like you had to. You're like
Because it's connected and it's like all together. It's because it's so nuanced. It's hard not to like gather a couple more things off to the side to like really hold the
yeah,
concept. And just like you were saying a bunch of words to really drive it home,
yeah,
I was like gathering some extra things to really drive home the concept, you know?
right, right.
Yeah.
But like that's an EP thing to do. Because like those other guys, they're not gonna do that. You know, like
Interesting. Okay,
yeah,
cool.
yeah,
That's good to know.
yeah. So you're like super EP to the max, actually. If anything,
That's
um,
hilarious.
yeah. But hey, you know what?
I'm blush.
Yeah, it's yeah, there's nothing wrong with being. No, being EP is good. You're the
I
cool
know,
type.
I know. I'm
You're
not upset
you're
about
like everyone like the ESTP is like the cool type. Like all the cool people are like ESTPs. Like like so. Um. Anyways, so Keagan, thanks again for reaching out and to do this interview. It's been fun. It's
It's
definitely good to hear your thing,
fun.
and
Yeah.
I learned a lot from you too. So that was super cool. Uh,
Aw.
yeah,
Yeah, it was good hanging out. I learned a lot from you too.
yeah. Thank you.
Yay! Cool.
Yay. All right, take care and enjoy the rest of your day.
Bye. See ya.